Story: Inemuri, the sleep that speaks of dedication. 1. The sleeping worker.
The fluorescent lights hummed softly above the neat rows of desks. In the corner of the 15th floor office in Tokyo's Marunouchi district, a man in a crisp gray suit sat slouched in his chair, eyes closed, head gently nodding forward. Papers were scattered on his desk, his pen resting loosely between his fingers. To a foreigner walking in, it might seem like he had given up, a lazy worker caught napping on the job. But here, in Japan, no one snickered, no one whispered, no one thought less of him. His name was Hiroshi Tanaka, a 37-year-old project manager at Kawamura Tech, a mid-sized engineering firm known for its perfectionism. For the past 3 weeks, Hiroshi had been leading a crucial project that could determine the company's future. He hadn't left the office before midnight in days. Now, in the silence of late afternoon, he had surrendered for just a few minutes to what the Japanese call Inemuri, the art of being present while asleep.
2. The culture of Inemuri.
Inemuri is a uniquely Japanese phenomenon. Literally translated, it means sleeping while present. It's not laziness or neglect. It's the body's quiet protest against relentless commitment. In the West, sleeping at your desk could mean a pink slip. In Japan, it might mean a pat on the back. The idea is simple yet profound. If someone is so exhausted that they fall asleep at work, it must be because they work tirelessly for the company. For decades, Japan has built its identity on dedication to the group, to the goal, to the collective dream. Every worker becomes a small but essential cog in the nation's vast machine of progress. Falling asleep on duty, then, becomes a silent badge of honor, a whisper that says, "I gave everything I had."
3. Hiroshi's routine.
Hiroshi's day began before dawn. He took the 5:30 a.m. train from Yokohama to Tokyo, squeezed between strangers who all wore the same fatigue on their faces. By 7 o'clock, he was already at his desk, reviewing progress charts, preparing for morning briefings, and checking the timelines his team had to meet. By noon, his shoulders ached from hours of typing and phone calls. Lunch was often a quick bowl of ramen eaten in silence. At 3 p.m., meetings began again, discussions, presentations, revisions. He rarely left before midnight. By the time he returned home, his 2 children were asleep, and his wife had quietly left dinner for him on the table. He'd eat, shower, and sleep for 3 hours before it all began again. It wasn't easy, but it was meaningful. He believed in what he was doing. To him, Inemuri wasn't weakness, it was rhythm, a short pause in a long symphony of effort.
4. The new intern.
One Monday morning, a new intern from Canada, Emily Carter, joined the office. Bright-eyed and full of enthusiasm, she was eager to learn everything about Japanese work culture. By 2 p.m., she had already noticed something strange. During a meeting, one of the senior engineers dozed off for about 5 minutes, sitting straight, arms crossed, eyes closed. No one reacted. No one stopped the discussion. Later, as she walked back to her desk, she saw another employee with his head resting on his arm, breathing softly. A third was leaning back in his chair, eyes shut, laptop still open. "Are they all tired or something?" she whispered to her neighbor. Her supervisor smiled. "They're practicing Inemuri," he said. "Inemuri?" she repeated, confused. "Yes," he explained, "it means they're resting while remaining part of the work environment. It shows commitment." Emily was stunned. In her country, sleeping during work was considered disrespectful, but here it was the opposite.
5. A culture of sacrifice.
Over the next few weeks, Emily began to observe more closely. She noticed that despite the occasional short naps, her Japanese colleagues never left early. They worked long hours, rarely complained, and always prioritized the team over themselves. She once stayed late, trying to finish a report. Around 9 p.m., she noticed Hiroshi still at his desk, his tie loosened, face pale with exhaustion. He looked up and smiled faintly. "Still working, Miss Emily?" he asked softly. "Yes, trying to finish this report," she said. "You should go home too." He chuckled gently. "When the work is done, I will rest." But sometimes, he paused, glancing at his desk. The body decides for me. That night, as she packed up, she saw him leaning back, asleep again, his face peaceful under the dim office lights. For the first time, she didn't see laziness. She saw sacrifice.
6. The company crisis.
One morning, disaster struck. The main client for their new project suddenly demanded major design changes 2 months before the launch. The team was stunned. Meetings ran into midnight. Tempers flared. Sleep vanished. Hiroshi led from the front. "We'll make it work," he said with quiet conviction. "We'll show them what Kawamura Tech stands for." For the next few weeks, the office became a second home. Employees slept on couches, chairs, even under desks. Hiroshi himself stayed for 72 hours straight. During one particularly intense night, Emily found him asleep with his laptop still open, blueprints scattered around him. She covered him with her jacket. She wrote in her diary that night, "Back home, sleeping at work is shameful. Here, it's sacred." It's a symbol of a heart that refuses to stop trying.
7. The presentation.
After a month of relentless effort, the day of the client presentation arrived. Hiroshi's team presented their redesigned project flawlessly. The client was impressed, even emotional. When the deal was sealed, the room erupted in quiet pride. Hiroshi bowed deeply to his team, eyes glistening. That evening, for the first time in months, the office lights turned off before 10 p.m. Hiroshi took the train home, leaned his head against the window, and allowed himself to sleep. Truly sleep, for the first time in weeks.
8. The reflection.
Months later, Emily returned to Canada. She gave a talk at her university about Japanese work ethics. She showed a picture of Hiroshi sleeping at his desk and said, "This is not laziness. This is devotion." Inemuri is the moment when the human body yields, but the spirit stays awake. It's a language of loyalty that only those who truly care can speak. She explained that Japan's relationship with work isn't perfect. It can be harsh and unforgiving. But within that intensity lies something profoundly human, the desire to give your best, even when you have nothing left.
9. Hiroshi's realization.
Meanwhile, back in Tokyo, Hiroshi's life began to change. After the project's success, the company rewarded him with a month's paid leave, a rare gesture in Japan. He spent time with his family, took his children to the zoo, watched cherry blossoms with his wife. For the first time, he felt balance returning. One evening, while walking along the Meguro River, his wife said, "You work so hard for us, but remember, life is not only about giving, it's also about living." He smiled. "I know," he said. "Inemuri taught me that too."
10. The hidden wisdom of Inemuri.
Inemuri isn't just about sleep. It's about presence through exhaustion, dignity in fatigue, and respect for effort. It teaches that the measure of a person's worth is not in how tirelessly they pretend to work, but in how deeply they care. In a world obsessed with appearances, Japan's Inemuri reminds us that sincerity matters more than show. A sleeping worker may be the most dedicated one in the room.
11. Moral of the story.
True dedication is not about staying awake. It's about staying committed. Inemuri teaches us that rest, when born of hard work, is not a sign of weakness, but a mark of sincerity. Sleep, in this sense, becomes sacred, a silent testimony that says, "I gave my all." In life, just like in work, respect those who are tired, for their fatigue may be proof of their faithfulness. Hiroshi still practices Inemuri, but now he smiles when his colleagues gently tease him about it. He knows what it means, not a nap, but a nod to effort, a pause in a song that never stops. Every culture expresses devotion differently. In some, it's loud praise. In Japan, it's a quiet sleep. So, the next time you see someone asleep at their desk, perhaps you should ask not, "Why are they sleeping?" but rather, "What have they given that made them so tired?" Hard work earns rest, and rest born from hard work is not laziness, it's honor.